Hey there, Mike Embree with Sibcy Cline Realtors here, and welcome to Open Book Realtor, the channel where we give some insight and tips to help you be more successful when you buy and sell, but most importantly, give you the reality of real estate. This video is going to be going over the 5 things that you need to do as soon as you buy any kind of real estate. But before we get into all of that, please remember that I am a licensed realtor in the state of Ohio, so none of this should be taken as explicit instruction, but more for some general information, fun, and insight. So contact your realtor or your attorney with contract and process questions in your area. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate in the greater Dayton, Ohio areas, I would love to work with you. If not, don't worry though. I am a relocation specialist with the leading real estate companies of the world, specializing in the best connections for buyers and sellers around the world. I'm local and global, so be sure to give me a like and subscribe and leave me a comment of where you are and all of your real estate needs, and I'd be happy to make a connection to a top-notch agent in your area. All my contact information and extra information in general is going to be in this description. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. All right, we're going to jump right into the reminders that you need to put into your calendar. The first one is going to be every 6 months, make a note in your calendar to contact your loan officer to have a conversation about potentially refinancing. Why would you want to do that every 6 months? Well, there are so many different purposes for needing to refinance. You could possibly have grown in market value because the last 6 months to a year grew values in your area, so you have a lot of equity you can borrow against, and that can be used to pay off other debts, maybe school loans or credit cards, or maybe you have a big project or an emergency that possibly has come up and you're trying to be prepared or anything like that. You can borrow against the equity of your home, and then you could also maybe refinance just for what you owe, and because the rates might have gone down. That means your monthly payment will drop. So there's all kinds of different reasons why you want to do that, but you need to remind yourself every 6 months, put that in your calendar to call your loan officer that helped you buy your home so you can talk about refinancing possibly. The next reminder you want to put in your calendar is going to be for the autumn and the spring. You want to make sure that you put those in your calendar to remind you to walk around the exterior of your home so you can catch some maintenance items and get them taken care of before they become bigger problems. These items are going to be in regards to things like your windows, your roof, making sure you've got seals around your windows, that it's all caulked in. Do you have any moss or mildew buildup on your siding? Does your siding have any repairs that need to be done? Maybe your chimney is looking a little rough. Things of that nature that you want to stay on top of, because exterior maintenance is pretty crucial to keeping your home comfortable and safe. As long as you keep your exterior sealed and secure, you can do whatever you want to on the inside. But as soon as the exterior starts to become a problem, then it doesn't matter what you do to the inside, because then you could get water intrusion, you could have, pests or bugs or anything like that. So you want to avoid any of those problems. Just mark your calendar for every autumn, every spring, so you can catch it before winter and after winter, and you're set for the whole year. Then on a more frequent level, you're going to want to use this QR code or use the link in the description to sign up for a monthly notice about your home's general value. This will use the most comprehensive and in-depth analysis of all the public information possible in your particular marketplace to give you a regular idea of the valuation of your home in your particular marketplace. Then at some point, if you think that the information that is in there is appropriate for you and you'd like to have a more professional opinion, look more in depth, I'm happy to make any connection that you need. So leave me that comment of where you are, any of your needs, and I'm happy to make connections for you. Alrighty, so you just bought a home. Now what do? Well, now you're going to follow these 5 steps. Step number 1 is going to be change your locks. You never know who still may have keys, or if there's keys floating around somewhere, maybe a neighbor has it or something like that. You just want to change your locks so you feel completely secure. But also, changing your locks means changing your doorknobs and so on and so forth. So those are kind of some immediate hardware updates you could be doing on your home. Just be sure not to go the cheap route. Don't go to a big box store and get the builder grade handles or locks or something like that just because they're cheap. Those can actually date your home, unfortunately, which then hinders your value increasing over time. Don't go the cheap route. Like I said, think about what kind of design style you might have, what appeals to you, what is the style of your house. find some new doorknobs, find some locks that are appropriate for that, and it's really going to elevate the style within your home. And there's another piece to your locks too that you could consider that would give you an immediate update. Smart locks and smart doorknobs. These are automated. Some of them are battery powered, some of them are hardwired, so on and so forth. They could be linked to your security system, but these are the kind of updates that you can do immediately that grow the value of your home, because as time progresses and technology continues to advance so rapidly, we are going to expect smart devices to be a part of a home. All right, step number 2 is going to be give your home a deep clean. I don't care if the seller already said they cleaned it or anything of a sort. You need to hire a crew or go in and do it yourself. You need to disinfect everything. You need to get an air purifier. You need to do shampooing on all the carpets or anything to that effect. You just need to make sure that you're giving yourself a clean slate that you can walk into so comfortably. Also, the home you purchased may have been vacant for a while. Without air circulation, if you happen to live in an area where you might have some humid air, without air circulation, bacteria will start to grow up, or condensation will start to grow up. So there might be some mildew smell that might be in your house or in your basement or something like that. Just get an air purifier, clean everything, give yourself that clean slate. It's your new home, so you deserve to feel comfortable in it. But really, at the end of the day, you just don't want to be like living in the germs or like the feeling of other people still being there. Step number 3 is going to be talking to an estate attorney. I know it's a little scary to think about, but it is so incredibly important. I'm talking things like your wills, your power of attorneys, whether that be durable or healthcare, making sure that you have all of the plans in place set up properly with an attorney for your location, that should the worst happen and anything were to ever happen to you, that all of your assets, finances, debts, etc. are dispersed the way that you would like them to, or given to the appropriate people. If you don't have these things in writing, there is no absolute. There is no this is just what happens. A lot of people make a mistake of thinking, oh, because I'm married, it just goes to my spouse. Not always. Or because I'm the child, it just comes to me. No, not always. So if you now have a large investment, or at least one of the largest investments you will have made in your lifetime up to this point of owning property, it's really important that you talk to an attorney to make sure that that is set up appropriately for you and the future of anyone that you're leaving anything to. It's called your estate. So make sure you plan it properly with an actual estate attorney. It's not near as expensive as people realize either. I think a lot of people have a misconception that because it's an attorney, that means you have to spend hundreds and hundreds or to thousands of dollars an hour for them to just draw up some paperwork. It's not that expensive. Most attorneys can probably draw that information up for you with just a few $100s, I would imagine. If you need any kind of connection, please let me know. Leave me a comment of where you are. I'm happy to make connections as best as I possibly can. I have my own connections to attorneys here in Ohio, and I'm sure they can make connections to any state that you're in. But I'll give you a perfect example as to why it is never okay to just assume that everything is set up properly. I had people one time that had a death in the family. Their mother passed away, and it was, an unfortunate circumstance, and I hate that I have to help people go through such an emotionally burdensome time. They're going through a lot, so I take it very seriously to make sure I get all of my ducks in a row for them. But this particular situation ended up actually being a blended family. So it was a stepdad and stepmom situation, and each of them had 3 kids. Well, instead of having an estate attorney really plan what those next steps, should anything happen to them, would be, they just decided to go a cheap and easy route and do a transfer on death. That sounds simple, that sounds really easy. But what actually happens with a transfer on death is as soon as you die, it automatically goes into the name of whoever you have had set. And if you're not having that reviewed regularly, then that can cause some problems. So what actually happened here is these 2 people owned their property, owned their home 50% equally, not as, a married couple, and then things passed on to the spouse or anything like that. Each of them only owned 50% of it equally. And then they had a transfer on death from each of them to their 3 kids. Well, Dad passed away and his 3 kids received it. And then Mom received permanent tenancy for as long as she lived. Then she passed away and it went to her 3 kids. That sounds so simple, but what actually happens is in my particular state, we have dower rights, which is a pretty big deal, and that applies to marriage. So that means I not only had to find 6 people who now were equal owners of the property, but so were all of their spouses. So I had to hunt 12 people down from all across the country just to try and sell this property. And the person who approached me thought that they were the executor of this estate because it was their parent and so on and so forth. But what actually was happening is that all 6 people had to sign every single piece of documentation to be allowed to sell the home. So it might be easier, or it may have been a less burdensome situation and less difficult for everyone involved if their parents would have just set them up to have one executor of their entire estate who can sign for everything. And then once it's sold, all of the proceeds can be dispersed upon all their children the way they wanted it to happen, rather than having the real estate itself and the ownership of it go to somebody else. Talk to your estate attorney. They can give you that insight and help guide you towards the route that you want to go and the burden or lack of burden that you want to put onto your future family members or friends or any kind of entity that you're passing your estate on to. I just see it all too frequently that people think that things are in line, or they make assumptions, and as soon as we get the process going, big wrenches get thrown into the process and it turns into a nightmare. And you're already going through such an emotional situation dealing with that. So the last thing we want to do is have problems and hiccups constantly when you could avoid that for any of your future friends or family or any of your, people that you're leaving anything to. You can alleviate a lot of that for them by just going to an attorney right now and getting that taken care of. Okay, moving on. Step number 4 is going to be get a home warranty. I don't care if the seller provided one with the listing or anything to that effect. I know that in some contracts you can request a seller to pay for one, but the seller is only giving a financial contribution and you have so much in the transaction, you probably picked a very basic warranty assuming that things were going to be covered and didn't pay attention to the details. Really get into those details, contact that company, get to know the different plans that they may have, and see what works best for you. A home warranty is designed to work in partnership with your homeowner's insurance and cover a lot of the interior pieces of your home. So plumbing, wiring, appliances, heating and air conditioning, light fixtures, water heaters, all that kind of stuff can be covered under a home warranty. So you want to make sure that you get those details and get the right plan for you, because you never know what could happen, especially in your first year or two in a home. You've worked so hard to be able to become a homeowner, so you may as well take the time and a little bit of extra money to make sure you're protected and you can live comfortably and you're taken care of regardless of whatever happens. And quite frankly, if a seller did pay for it for you originally, that all sounds great and nice and everything, but they're going to always go the cheapest route possible and cover the least amount to relieve them of anything. So really make sure that you get into those policies, because there's different deductibles, there's different fees that could come with them. If there's a big deal and you have to pull permits, are those covered in your home warranty? Some of them do, some of them don't. Make sure that you're going into those details and feeling confident that you're protected regardless of what could happen. And finally, step number 5. These are going to be your quick and immediate updates. These will allow you to personalize your home, but you'll get added value instantly, just with a little bit of elbow grease. One of the best things that you can do for your home in general, as soon as you become a new owner, is to paint the interior. Just be careful of your color choices. Make sure it's a personalization of yourself and that's something you love, but just keep in mind, if it's too abrasive or too bold of a color or something to that effect, that can actually hinder your value, so you might want to be prepared to have to undo that when you go to list your home for sale however many years down the road. But you would be amazed at the new feeling and how updated it would feel if you just painted, and how fun of a weekend project for you, the family, or whatever, to just take an entire weekend and paint your home. You're putting your stamp on it. It's yours. You may as well personalize it. Paint will also go a long way in getting rid of smells too. There's different levels of paint, so make sure you talk to a specialist or a contractor or something like that. But paint can actually get rid of smells that are in a house. If you had a smoker, or if there were pets or something like that, some of that can seep into the paint of the wall. So if you put a fresh new layer of paint that's particularly thick, that can mask any of that kind of smell. So it's working off of one of those earlier steps of making sure you do a deep clean. A coat of paint will just emphasize that, but also give you an update. The next part to your immediate updates is going to be your hardware. So this is like doorknobs, your handles to anything like cabinetry, bathroom vanities, or any of that kind of stuff, like closet doors, that kind of stuff, any of your hardware. Paint and hardware go such a long way, but hardware is a stylized piece of anything in your home. Like we talked about a little bit ago, don't go cheap on the hardware either, just like you don't want to go cheap on your doorknobs or door locks. The last section, if you will, of updates you want to consider doing as soon as you move in is smart devices. Technology is advancing so rapidly, so constantly. So you want to stay a little bit ahead of that if you can. These updates aren't necessarily for your particular preference or style or something to that effect. It's actually one of those steps that you're taking immediately right now to solve some of your update issues you may run into down the road. Whether you sell your house in another year or another 10 years, think about how far down the road that could be. If technology is advancing so fast with the Gen Z buyers who are now in their early 20s, they're our youngest section of buyers right now. By the time you sell your house, if you've bought within any kind of recent history at all, they're going to be a majority of your buyers possibly, which means they're going to expect smart devices and good technology inside of a home. So you may as well get ahead of that now. You don't necessarily have to use them yourself, just make sure that they're there. That way, if the time comes that you ever need to sell down the road, you already have a major update that people are not just expecting, but that they really appreciate. And these can go to things like thermostats, door locks and doorknobs. There are lights and light fixtures. I mean, you name it, there's a different form of smart technology that can be incorporated into that. There are retractable TV screens and stuff that can be smart or voice activated. There are devices that you can use for curtains to where they can open and close automatically. Those are pieces that you are adding to your home that may seem like they're trivial because you may not have grown up with them. But the future buyers are growing up with these devices, so they're becoming an expectation in some marketplaces. And I bet in 5 to 10 years, smart devices like doorbells, door locks, thermostats, all that kind of stuff, I bet that's going to be an expectation item on a lot of homes. It's not going to be a luxury anymore. It's going to be an expectation. Alrighty, there's some steps that you can take to get some immediate good value in your home. Keep tabs on what's going on in your area, but also make sure that you're safe, secure, comfortable, and protected for the future of your home and your family. All right, everybody, that's all I have. If you have any comments, please let me know what your thoughts are, or if you'd like to share a story, I'd love to hear something that went well or did not go well with any of these for yourself. All right, everybody, until next time, we'll see you later.